guys, this video will be focusing on the production of biofuel from water weeds and a case study from Kenya where water hyacinth was used to produce biogas. As we all know, water weeds are floating or submerged aquatic plants. They are scientifically known as Elodea and they are known for their inconspicuous flowers. Examples are duckweeds and water hyacinths, scientifically known as Iconia crassipes. Elodea was introduced into the waterways of Europe, Australia, Africa, Asia, and New Zealand, but they have turned out to be a significant problem as it is a noxious weed. Many chemical methods have been developed in order to eradicate this particular weed, like fluoridine, but they have turned out to be either ineffective or has shown their effect for only a month or two. It was introduced in India by the British colonials in 1890, and they were very attractive because of their beautiful flowers and glossy leaves. But it is high time that we befriended this noxious water hyacinth rather than just keeping it away. This is a picture of water hyacinth observed in the Powai Lake in Mumbai. This is where biofuel comes into play. Biofuel helps in efficiently converting this environmental hazard into a sustainable bioenergy source. Biofuel is a fuel that is produced by contemporary processing of biomass rather than just following very slow geological processes that help in the formation of fossil fuels and other oils. Biodiesel is very popular all over the world because of its eco-friendly nature. It has been used in the automotive industry but not as widely as the other energy sources such as coal, diesel, petroleum, etc. These sources have proven to be very helpful, but they are very limited and they are depleting resources. Biodiesel is much better than petrodiesel and has extended engine life. This is an eco-friendly biodiesel bus from Iceland. Biomethane is used in fueling this bus and it is from a landfill in the country that was closed a few years ago. They are using landfill gas and has only one filling station. The country already has green electricity, geothermal water, and now they have revolutionized the transport with biodiesel. The most important advantage in using a biodiesel is that it's renewable. There are also many other eco-friendly features like there is very low toxicity and it degrades more rapidly than diesel fuel. Other advantages include lower emissions of carbon monoxide, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and many other carcinogenic substances that can cause respiratory issues. Another major advantage is that they have very high flash point. Now, flash point is the lowest temperature in which a liquid can get ignited in order to become a vapor. So, the lower the flash point, the easier it will be to ignite the liquid. In this case, biodiesel have very high flash points, so the liquid is not easily ignitable and it is comparatively less dangerous than other fuels that is in the industry right now. And this makes it patently obvious as to why we are considering using water weeds for biofuel. As I mentioned before, water weeds is reproducing at a very high rate in aquatic water bodies. Hence, exploiting this aquatic biomass using very low fossil energy and the material inputs are leaving a positive energy balance, there is very minimal interference in the environment. And hence, along with the other features of a biodiesel, this will eventually create a positive impact on the carbon footprint. Now let us look at a case study from Kenya where a successful attempt was made to produce biodiesel from water weeds and discuss technical, socio-economic and environmental benefits of small-scale biofuels, as well as mitigating environmental pollution at both local and global levels. So the result indicated that the water weeds should at least contain 1% to 1.2% of sugar and alcohol content of 2 to 2.4% from 1.5 kg of water weed sample. This is a systematic approach to disposal of water weeds and solid waste management system. This is a picture from shores of Lake Victoria's Winam Gulf in Kenya's Kisumu country. The plant began gobbling up open space, choking off fishing routes and providing a new habitat for disease-carrying mosquitoes. They are also affecting the tourist boats. This is a water hyacinth, also known as Iconia crassipes. As you can observe, they look very attractive, but it's deadly with glossy leaves and delicate purple flowers floating in the garden ponds. Scientists dubbed it as the world's worst weed after it spread from the Cape in the early 1900s and started clogging up major dams and rivers. Now let's talk about why there is a pushing need for fuel in Kenya. Kenya's latest demographic and health survey shows that about 3 out of 4 families in Kenya depend upon wood or charcoal to cook their daily meals, and the rate is even higher in rural areas. According to the studies of 2009, women in Kenya usually smoke their fish. As seen in the picture, they have to gather huge quantities of firewood and has to walk for at least 10 kilometers each day in order to find enough kindling to complete their work. Outside their homes on the shores of Lake Victoria, piles of water hyacinth left to rot was a very common sight. But buried in those decaying waxy leaves was a renewable energy gold mine. But this leaves us wondering as to why we chose waterweed over every other source of bioenergy. Water hyacinth is not just good at being abundant. Its foliage also contains high ratio of carbon to nitrogen. This magic combination has captivated researchers' imaginations across the world, and they began exploring the potential as a biofuel. Early research predicted that about 4 kg of this dried plant was enough to cater a large family's daily energy needs. In India, scientists took this idea and ran with it. Because of periodic shortages of cow dung, they started mixing water hyacinth with cannabis sativa, which is the same family of plants from which marijuana comes from. While in Kenya, this program gave birth to Kenya's National Domestic Biogas Program KENDBIP, and this was used in incubating chicks and purifying water. Stubs were installed in different parts of Kenya by Kenya's Biogas International Company. Now, the digesters work a bit like a stomach. Food goes in one end, and over the next 20 to 30 days, it ferments and breaks down, giving off clean burning gas which is piped to the point of use just like traditional domestic gas. Now let us look at the process, which includes 3 steps: hydrolysis, acid formation and methane formation. In the first phase, protein, carbohydrate and fat are converted to soluble substances, followed by acid formation, giving rise to fatty acids, amino acids and alcohol by acidogenic bacteria. Methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide and ammonia form in the third base by methanogenic bacteria. The slurries become somewhat thinner during the process of digestion. A pH of 7 is maintained because the slurry should neither be alkaline nor acidic. Biogas can in principle be obtained from any organic material, but in the case of water hyacinth, 10 days of preliminary rotting is required and 20 days for better results. The fermentation slurry can be excellently used as a fertilizer. The product that Kenya obtained was an absolute gold. Biogas is lighter than air and has an ignition temperature of 700 degrees Celsius. The temperature of the flame is 870 degrees Celsius. Biogas contains about 60% of methane and 40% carbon dioxide. And the calorific value is higher when the digestion process is longer. Now let us see how valorization of water hyacinth as a sustainable energy source for animal feed and biogas transformed Kenya within a few months. Women and young girls were the most vulnerable to respiratory issues and even some forms of cancer, because where there is smoke, there is PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which is a carcinogen which is released during the burning of charcoal, corn cobs, etc. After the biogas project began, the members of Fishmongers Association are already getting sick less often, and because they don't have to devote hours a day to walk long distances to collect firewood, they are also making money as well. However, researchers say that biogas stubs' impact on communities' health still needs more research. But as long as the price of the digesters do not drop below $750, the community in Kenya, which is predominantly poor, will not be able to afford the same. Even though affordability is a challenge which is worth addressing, given the huge health and economical and environmental dangers which is posed by dirty fuels such as wood, charcoal and kerosene, if biogas becomes affordable on a large scale, it would be life-changing for millions of lives on African continent and beyond. This has brought about a paradigm change in the view of water hyacinths in Kenya and has also changed the outlook of other first world countries in viewing Kenya as a sustainable energy using nation. Water hyacinth was considered as a menace, and now it is a very useful resource. In conclusion, aquatic weeds have exceptionally high reproduction rate and are rich in cellulose and hemicellulose with very low lignin content that makes them an efficient next generation biofuel crop. Considering the potential as an effective phytoremediator, this is a model of integrated aquatic biomass production, phytoremediation, and bioenergy generation to reduce the land, freshwater, and fertilizer usage for sustainable and economic bioenergy. Kenya is hence setting an example for the entire world that even the world's most harmful water weed, like water hyacinth, can be a gold mine for sustainable energy and the fuel of the future. By the end of this video, I hope you guys are aware that biofuel should definitely be opted over other fuel options like petrol, diesel, etc. in order to reduce carbon footprint. Kenya and Iceland has definitely set a good example for the entire world to learn from. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.